Hey, how are you guys? My name is Adam. It's another 3-Tip Thursday brought to you by UltiCareer. All right, on this week's 3-Tip Thursday, we're talking all about optimizing your resume. That's right. I know a lot of people probably haven't touched their resumes in a bit, but if you got laid off or furloughed or something like that, here are 3 terrific tips to make sure your resume stands out and you're optimizing it to get that job that you really want. So number 1, make sure your resume is optimized for applicant tracking software. Now what that means is applicant tracking software is almost like a keyword search that a lot of these big companies and things use to kind of weed out people who they feel are qualified or maybe are not qualified enough. So it's kind of like a Google search for your resume. So when you're making and creating your resume or editing your resume, make sure that you optimize it for this. Now, ATS, as it's called, doesn't read any text in charts or tables or headers and footers. So anything that's really important, you want to make sure you put in the body of your resume, not in the header and footer or any kind of tables or charts. So be sure to keep that in mind. And just a side note, a resume always gets read better with ATS when it's a docx for Microsoft Word versus a PDF. So always send a docx over a PDF. Tip number 2, 15 years. That's the span, 15 years. Make sure your work history was in 15 years. Now, there's multiple reasons for this. Number 1, you want to make sure that your resume is as relevant as possible. And number 2, if you're a bit older, probably your early 50s, early 60s, you want to make sure you're not going to fall victim to age discrimination. Now, that's a common practice for people who are trying to find their last job before retirement, and you want to make sure that you want to minimize your chance to get discriminated against due to your age. So 15 years of work history is more than enough, and they say unless you're going for a job that requires 15 plus years, like a C-suite job or some kind of high executive job, senior vice president, things like that, then obviously you keep in all that history. But 15 years is more than enough work history. Any more than that, it kind of takes focus away from your resume as a whole. So you want to make sure that you pull focus, keep it to a 15-year window. And number 3, you always want to make sure that you target your resume per job listing. Now, changing your resume after or before applying to every job is a kind of a pain in the butt, I would imagine, but you want to make sure that you're hyper-focusing your resume and your skill set that you're listing, that's to make sure it's directly in line with the job description you're reading. So although I know it's a pain in the butt to change your resume after every job you apply to for the next one, it's something to be kind of on top of because it can make all the difference. And it shows attention to detail to companies like that. So one more time, I'll run down these 3 really quick. Make sure you design your resume with ATS in mind. That's applicant tracking software. That's number 1. Make sure you do that. Number 2, only 15 years of work experience. You don't need much more than that. So like I said, pulls focus away, you want to pull focus closer. And number 3, you want to make sure that you target your resume for every job you apply for. You change your skill set, you change your cover letter, you change your description, your summary, things like that. Change them all to hyper-focus on the job that you're applying for at hand. So thank you guys again for always checking these out. It's terrific. My name is Adam. You can follow us on all the socials at UltiCareer, and we'll talk to you soon. You can subscribe here and watch our last video there. Thanks, guys.